Have you ever wondered if astrology applies to cats? The answer is yes. Yes, it does. Okay, so astrology does apply to cats. If you are a cat owner or are interested in adopting a cat, you need to watch this video because in here I'm going to go over all the 12 signs and I'm going to talk about cats are just as complicated as humans are. In fact, because cats are authentically themselves, cats are just so much more their chart, their astrological chart, than even humans are. For us, usually it takes a little bit to figure out who we are. And then we start to exhibit and display those common traits. But for an animal, like a cat or a dog, they just are born how they are. They're not socialized and taught to suppress parts of themselves in order to fit in, or told by their kitty mommy and kitty daddy that they can't be angry, or they have to dress a certain way, or they have to act a certain way around the table. You know, cats are just cats. So they just get to be who they are. So if you have a cat and you know what time your cat was born, this is gonna be amazing for you because you can do your cat's natal chart. You can figure out where their sun is, where their moon sign is, what the rising sign is. That's gonna be golden information, okay? So stick with me, let's go. Okay, so now we are at Gemini. So what does it mean if you have a cat that's a Gemini? Okay, so this would be a cat that's born anywhere between May 21st and June 20th. Now keep in mind, guys, as I give you these dates, like it changes every year, so you're gonna have to look it up. But in the case that you have looked up your cat's chart and you have determined that your cat is a Gemini, congratulations, I love that. I love that for you. So what does it mean if your cat is in Gemini? Well, first of all, they are the most curious of the cats. We all know that curiosity killed the cat, and probably more Geminis have died from that affliction than any other sign. Gemini cats, I mean. Because, you know, Gemini is the most curious sign. They are constantly wanting to learn about different things. Everything fascinates a Gemini. And for a Gemini, it's all mental, right? It's mental stimulation. So your cat is going to be bored all the time, unless they have new things to pursue, to think about, to chase, to watch, right? A Gemini cat will also be very, very communicative. There are certain breeds out there that just generally, like, for example, Bengals, which is what I have, they're known for being more vocal. And if you have a Gemini cat, that is like ×5, right? A Gemini cat will just meow, meow, meow at everything. I spoke in the Aries video about this, but I have an Aries cat with a Mars and Gemini, right? And he's very much like that. I mean, I just have to look at him and he will talk to me, right? I sometimes have to avoid looking at him because I know that if I do, it's kind of like an invitation to talk, to chat, and he's always ready to make eye contact with me. That's the other thing about Gemini, like, they are so good at being present in the moment. And this is about people too, like actual human beings. If you meet a Gemini, they're really good at holding presence because wherever they are, that's where they are, right, in the moment. But a Gemini cat will also be that way. Like, so you just gotta, get to the point where they trust you enough, and then once like they know you, they're gonna make eye contact with you, and they'll probably meow at you, right? A Gemini cat will be getting into everything. A Gemini cat will be mischievous. They'll be a little naughty. They will get into things that they're not supposed to, no matter how many times you tell them, no matter how many times you hiss at them, right? They're just gonna wait until you leave to go do it, because they want to see what was the whole big deal about that. A Gemini cat will also be very like paw oriented. So you'll see them use a lot of their a lot of the swatting to like knock shit over, or they're just gonna like tap at things when they're curious, and that's because Gemini is very much like ruling the hands and the arms, right? For people, we know this, but even for cats, like cats have varying degrees of how they use their paws, and I just really think it's cute watching my cat who has Mars and Gemini. Like, the way he grabs things is just so cute, and he's like a little human or a panda, you know. Anyway, so back to Gemini. They also get bored easily. So just keep this in mind. Very much like Aries or Sagittarius cats, they will just kind of like, they don't like you to repeat yourself. They constantly want new things. It's okay if you like have toys that they played with a long time ago and you hid them and then you're bringing them back out in rotation. That's fine. But generally speaking, like, don't leave toys out for them because they're gonna see them every day. They're just gonna grow tired of them, right? A Gemini cat, they constantly just need new stimulation. They are also always involved in what you're doing. So no matter if you bring home a package from the mail or you come home from the grocery store, they're just gonna be like, what is this? What is this new thing? Oh my God, is this for me? This is for me. Well, let me see, you know? They're just gonna get in there and just, I don't know, if you wanna love your Gemini cat, let them. If you wanna show them that you care, give them things to do, give them things to look at. Like a lot of times, like what I do is, if I'm like tearing a package open, like I'll present like whatever I tore off and just let them like sniff it, you know? Or I'll set it down so they can just like paw at it. Because you want to include your Gemini cat. They love you, right? And they want to be with their buddy, with their family. And whatever you're playing with, you know, you could be working on a laptop, but to them, you're just playing. You're messing around because that's their life. They don't know any better. They want to play with what you're playing with, you know? So include them. Also, they pick up things really fast because they are so mentally quick. A Gemini cat would be, for example, if they have the patience, right? Very good at teaching them tricks. They will be able to just like comprehend what you're saying pretty fast. People don't necessarily realize this, but Geminis not only talk a lot, I'm talking people here, they don't only talk a lot, but they comprehend quickly as well. So the mental processing is just quicker with the Gemini in person and also as a cat. So a Gemini cat will just be a little bit smarter than the other signs, okay? They'll be quicker. You don't have to repeat yourself with a Gemini cat. I guarantee you they heard you the first time, and I guarantee you if they're still doing it, it's because they don't care. They just don't care. So many times, like I feel like I'm just describing every cat, but you know, cats are cats, but there are certain things that are just more pronounced with certain signs, and that's definitely one of them. They get into everything. They're mischievous. But I will say though, if you have a Gemini cat, they're very lovable. They're quirky, they're funny, they are always doing something interesting. If you have company over, they're really sociable. They love to meet new people. They're very good with other cats typically. They're very good with other, you know, living human things and living non-human things. So just understand that. One of the things that I love about cats, and I know this might be interesting to talk about cats and forgiveness, but so many times, like, you know, when we forget to feed them on time or you know, one time I stepped on my cat's tail, I didn't see him, and I felt so bad, and I didn't want to hurt his feelings, and he like walked away from me, and he looked at me from the corner, and this is not a Gemini cat, my cat I'm talking about is a Leo, but anyway, Gemini cats, they actually don't hold grudges. That's what's cool about them. Like, unless they have a Scorpio placement, right? A Gemini cat typically forgives easily. Like, they're not going to like dwell on shit, you know? A Gemini cat just wants to be light, have fun. What are you playing with? Let's fuck shit up, like that, you know? So that's what I love about Gemini cats. Also, they can be pretty unpredictable with Gemini. Just, you know, always thinking new things, having new ideas, trying things out. They're very trial and error kind of cats. And so they will test, you know, how sturdy a surface is, or what something tastes like, or, you know, what happens if I scratch this, or can I climb up that? It's similar to Aries in that sense, but it's a little bit more playful with a Gemini. It's with an Aries, it's a cat, it's gonna be more like, can I do it? You know, can I be brave enough? Or it's like a challenge, right? With a Gemini, it's more curiosity, right? That leads them into like, ooh, dangerous territory. Okay, so what if your cat is not a Gemini sun? What if they're a Gemini rising? how does that look and what makes that different? Well, a cat with Gemini rising will be, it'll have a lot of the same traits as a Gemini sun. For example, they're going to be talkative, right? They're going to be very curious. They're going to be pretty smart. They're going to present as a very curious cat that gets into stuff, right? That gets into boxes and closets and, you know, whatever you're working on, they're going to get into it. A Gemini rising cat is going to be very sociable. So this is actually a really cool sign for a pet, because so oftentimes we as people, we need cats to socialize with our dogs or with our children or when we live with other people, or you know, if we move a lot and we just need them to be kind of adaptable. A Gemini rising cat will be that way. They'll be very adaptable to different environments and different situations. So you can expect them to be incredibly smart, very curious, adaptable, very sociable. But this also means, you guys, that if you have a Gemini rising cat, you don't want to have them all by themselves. It's very similar to a Libra cat. Like, you gotta give this Gemini rising cat someone to play with, right? Someone to bounce and communicate with, bounce ideas off of. I know it kind of sounds like I'm talking about a person, but cats have their own little worlds, and just because we can't talk to them using our words doesn't mean that they don't have complexity to their little souls, right? To their little experiences in their minds. So make sure that when you have a Gemini rising cat, that you provide them with stimulation. This is how you show them love. And so this actually brings me to my next part of this video, where we talk about Gemini moon, right? So let's say your cat has a Gemini moon. In that case, it's going to be so much more important that you allow your cat to be curious and to get into meowing conversations. I know this might sound a little bit weird, but if you're a true cat owner, you have meowed at your cat. You have talked to your cat with meows, and don't pretend like you haven't. We've all done it. We all do it. With a Gemini moon cat, this is vital. This is important, right? You're doing God's work here. You're doing a service for your cat by meowing with them, right? It doesn't matter that you have no idea what you're talking about with your cat, but the engagement of the vocalization back and forth, that is really important for a Gemini moon cat, believe it or not. And it doesn't even have to be, you know, vocalization, right? It just has to be an exchange of energy between you and your cat, being present with your Gemini moon cat. So this could be like getting on their level while they're on the ground, you know, just kind of purring at them, playing with what they're playing with. You wanna be an equal with a Gemini moon, right? And you wanna experience their life from their perspective. And having you do that, the way that they receive that is going to be very, very interesting to witness, but also it's going to be healthy for that cat. So relate with your Gemini moon cat. So that's Gemini moon, and that's Gemini cat. Meow.